Okay, gotta remember to record. Can everybody hear me? We're gonna go ahead and get started. I got a lot of out of offices when I sent out the invite to the lab. So we'll post this to the website following meeting today. So here we go, August 10th, statewide lab advisory meeting. Thank you for those of you who are here. Computer, some things we're going to be talking about today. Just some general upkeep and reminders. Some information that was distributed. I want to remind folks of some packing and shipping regulations, as well as just talk briefly about carbapenem resistant submissions to the lab. So first up, a little while ago, I sent out to the laboratorians this toolkit for viral hemorrhagic fevers that was developed by the R1 Respect Center. And I just want to kind of, if you didn't see it, if you haven't had a chance to go through it, or if you missed the email, or for some reason didn't get it, I just wanted to talk about this real quick because I think this is a really great resource for clinical labs on how to start preparing or building SOPs for, a possible person under investigation. It discusses everything from pretty much the entire life of a specimen, from collection to, transportation within the facility to another facility, analysis, test menus, like I mentioned here. It's got a ton of checklists and setup, you know, biosafety cabinet setup layouts and stuff. And so it's pretty comprehensive planning tool. So what was sent out was kind of a brief overview, but at the end of the document, there's a link that you can follow to get the full planning tool and a whole list of checklists and everything that you can adapt to your in-lab workflows. So I recommend looking at it if you are, updating your viral hemorrhagic fever procedures, or if you're writing them for the first time. It's a really great tool to use. So I think Sydney Stein, Dr. Stein, the state epi was the person who shared that with me to send out to you. So hopefully you use that in your planning. So, and also if you, email me if you are missing this. Um, I can send it out. I can send it back to you. So there's that. Just want to mention that at the top. So we're going to talk about some packing and shipping regulations. Just some common, I guess, mistakes that I've been noticing a little bit. So, just kind of a refresher, maybe of some things that are required by law. So the first thing is the list of itemized contents. You need to have a copy of this between the primary and secondary container. So for those brown category B boxes that we send out, we would ask that you place this between that hard-sided cylinder and, just like on top of the cylinder before you close the box. And then put a copy with the box as well if you're not using if you're not using FedEx or something. So that list of itemized contents, it's required by the DOT for category B. So I just want to remind you, this is kind of what we send out to folks. A lot of labs they have more specific information here. Like I've filled in for you already your facility and address. For some labs, I've started putting the responsible person on there, just as like the laboratory manager. But a lot of times we see this left blank, and this person down here, the shipper, is not always necessarily the same person, the same responsible person. They can be different, but they both need to be listed. The shipper's name here is the person who is attesting that they have packaged this box according to regulations. So responsible person is required. If you're using one of these things that we send out, this has got all the information that's required by the DOT and IATA, which is, the regulatory agency for the airlines, FedEx and whatnot. So just be sure that we're getting that responsible person, and sometimes even we're having this shipper's name down here not signed. And so not following these, it falls back on the facility, and the DOT can levy fines against people who are not properly packing and shipping. So the next thing I want to mention about packing and shipping, is these quantity limits. This this itemized list, the things it needs to include is what you're shipping. So I use Haemophilus influenza here as an example. I filled out the description of what you're shipping here for you if you're using this. And then this last column over here, this quantity of plates, slants, or specimens, to the best of your ability, you need to fill in the quantity of what you're sending. So as an example here, the contents is Haemophilus influenza. It's a category B. We're shipping one chocolate slant. I think they got about 9 mils of agar in there. But if you're sending it on a plate, you'd say one blood plate. I think there's around 19 or some mils in a plate. Or if you're sending a stool, you would say stool positive for salmonella, one Carrie Blair vial, and then how much is in there. So that's a requirement of the DOT. So we just got to be sure we're following those regulations. And then lastly, if I go back a slide, just to make sure I hit all my points, the training requirements are different for IATA and the DOT, and every time you're shipping something via the air, like via FedEx, you are beholden to the training requirements outlined by the IATA, the people who make the rules and regulations. But FedEx is a member of IATA, so if you're shipping something and you know it's going to be sent via plane, you need to be updating your training every 2 years. Now, if you only use a ground courier, DOT requires that training take place every 3 years. Employers should maintain records of that training, and I just want to mention right here at the end that even if you're only shipping category B, DOT and IATA require proven certification and training for shipping category A. Certification is not required for shipping category B, but the training is. You have to be able to prove that you've met the training requirements, hazmat training requirements in the US. So while the certification is not required, provable training is. So if you know that you have folks in your labs where it's been a couple of years since they've had their hazmat training, or it needs to be updated, I do a packaging and shipping course quarterly, or we can make something work for your lab. So those are the things I wanted to just remind everyone of on packing and shipping regulations. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me directly. Just things to keep in mind. And then, so lastly, for the carbapenem resistant submissions, thank you all who submit their specimens in a timely manner. The number of times I have to reach out to facilities has gone down. We still do miss some submissions. So I just wanted to talk about submission criteria. Just as reminders, if you don't already have, your built-in surveillance flags and whatnot, or if you're relying on laboratorians to notice these and send them in. This went out, I think this was updated maybe a little over a year ago and went out to everybody, but for Enterobacterales, there's only susceptible and non-susceptible. So if you are seeing any of these 3 drugs, the ertapenem, meropenem, or imipenem, taking into account those exceptions below. It's non-susceptible, and we are looking for those submissions. Of course, there's exceptions at the bottom. And then following this most recent communication drill and lab capacity survey that I sent out, I know you got another one from the DHHS. I wanted to share this testing algorithm because I know some labs are doing MSIM and some labs are doing car-bar. But you will notice here that here at NPHL, we do the MSIM first and the car-bar on positive. So if your lab is performing a car-bar and it's negative, we still want that for MSIM testing, just because the MSIM can grab some carbapenemase productions that are outside of those big five included in the car-bar. So I just wanted to, yeah, talk about that again. We're just trying to, decrease the number of isolates that don't make it to NPHL. Yeah, so if any questions about that, that's really the end of my spiel at the top, and we can go to the epi roundtable if everything looks good there. Okay, and then we will do just that. Copy of the agenda. Okay, so now we'll do our DHHS section updates, and we'll start at the top with the hospital-acquired infection team, the ARLN team. Do we have a member of the team with any updates for us?
Yeah, this is Claire Ortlieb with the HAI team. No really big updates for me, but I did just want to reiterate what Ben said about following the testing algorithm and sending those isolates in when possible, because we have seen quite a few isolates recently that tested positive for a carbapenemase gene that was outside of the big five that were negative on both MSIM or positive on MSIM, but negative on carba-R. So if you could send those in, that would be great, because we are interested in those so we can catch them and keep the majority of our patients safe while they're inpatient at both hospitals and long-term care facilities. So, but otherwise, I think that's it for me.
Thanks, Claire. Any questions for the HAI team? I don't know where my piece of paper notes went. Okay, so then we'll move on to respiratory illness.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
So, hi, all. This is Derek Julian here for respiratory. Not a whole lot to cover either. We're seeing pretty low respiratory activity across the state, which is expected for the summer. It doesn't mean we're not seeing no respiratory activity. Over the past month, we had seen a little wave of rhino and enterovirus lab positives be reported. Looking at our laboratory surveillance data, which isn't atypical, we kind of see a little summer wave of that virus increase. So I wanted to call that out. Secondly, we've been keeping a close eye on SARS-CoV-2 in anticipation of seeing a summer wave, as we have tended to see the past few years coming into really in August and into the early fall. And right now, activity for SARS-CoV-2 is still low, but looking at not only our laboratory surveillance data here in Nebraska, but keeping an eye on what the national picture looks like. Starting to see some little minor increases in laboratory test positivity for SARS-CoV-2. Still might be too early to know for sure if this is our summer wave, but we're just continuing to keep a close eye on that. So I wanted to call that out too. So other than that, I don't think I have anything else. If you are seeing any influenza A specimens, positive specimens, I have to say, we'd love to get those subtyped, whether either at your lab locally or happy to do that at NPHL. So if you have any questions on that, please let us know. Thank you all.
Thanks, Derek. Up next, we've got enteric outbreaks. Sandra with us today.
Yes, hello, this is Sandra. So we don't have any in-state outbreaks going on at the moment, but we are a part of multiple multi-state investigations. We are a part of a couple Salmonella enteritis outbreaks associated with travel to Mexico. We have some Salmonella infantis and Mendaca associated with backyard poultry. Salmonella jejuniana due to jalapeno peppers. And then we were added to the multi-state cyclospora outbreak with the iceberg lettuce. So we're keeping an eye on all these situations. Just a reminder for labs, just please send the Salmonella and Cyclospora specimens on to NPHL. And that's it from Enterix.
Thank you. If there are no questions, up next is vector-borne disease. Jeff's with us today.
Yes, I am here, Ben. I guess the name of the game is right now. It's mosquito season. We're right in the heart of West Nile virus season in particular. So over these next, 4 to 6 weeks is typically when we really start to see the number of positive cases really increase. So just a reminder to folks out there, if folks are, providers are requesting, West Nile testing or patients coming in with flu-like symptoms, to kind of keep that in mind. Also a reminder too, a lot of times what I see is that patients may come in kind of with those general non-specific symptoms and maybe a rash, and then we'll get tick-borne disease panel testing ordered on them, but not West Nile virus. Just a kind of reminder that rash is fairly common in West Nile virus cases as well. So just kind of something to kind of keep in the back of your mind, if your providers are reaching out about kind of what to test for. So outside of that, in general, our West Nile season has been pretty low up to this point, at least below average for our standards. I think we're only at 14 positive mosquito pools. Typically, we're past 40 positive samples at this point. So up to this point, it's been a real unusual year, very low. And some of the internal modeling that we've been doing is indicating towards a lower season, toward the end of the lower spectrum there. So, it looks like it may not be as heavy West Nile year, but again, we'll kind of have to keep an eye on it as we go here through the next weeks. And then finally, just a reminder, maybe to review that health alert we sent out. So beginning of July, end of June, first part of July, and to also think about some of the other mosquito-borne diseases that we have detected in our mosquitoes, including Cache Valley, Jamestown Canyon virus. Initially, definitely think about West Nile virus first. That's one that is by far our most prominent mosquito-borne disease, but if individuals are coming back negative on those, maybe to think about once you kind of rule out all the other usual suspects, maybe to start thinking about maybe some of those other, maybe more what we'll call rare arboviruses potentially. So, but yeah, again, review that HON that was sent out there at the beginning of July. But outside of that, I think that's kind of the main things I'm here, Ben, right at this time.
Okay, thank you. Let's see here. Okay, Derek did just add another update to the chat, but we'll move on here. TB, Kristen, she let me know that she is not here today, but she does not have any epi updates for the TB program. Do we have someone from STD program with us?
We do have a new program manager, so I'll send you her information so you can add her to this call.
Okay, I know I've added a few new people over the last couple of weeks. Maybe she didn't make the list. All right, and then finally, lead testing.
Hello, it's Jenna. I don't have any updates for lead today. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jenna. So that's it for the epi updates. A couple of last notes about training, kind of piggybacking on the packing and shipping training that I talked about earlier. The next virtual course has been scheduled for September 11th. It's a Friday. So registration is open for that now. If you know, if you want to talk to me about other options of getting your employees trained to be able to pack and ship, you can email me about that. And then lastly, I've received a couple questions about the rule out and refer wet workshop that, you know, normally we put on in North Platte. I think it's going to look a little different this year. Unfortunately, with Becky's departure, it's looking very difficult to be able to travel with that. But I'm thinking we'll try to do on-site trainings. So not the full scale wet workshop. What it kind of in my head, what this is looking like is me sending the organisms forward and relying on your laboratory to sort of sub them on schedule. And then I can visit and we can, you know, do some of the lectures and then work through the rule out and refer process in your lab using, you know, what methods you have available and your own workflows. But I have to, you know, fully build that out. And if you would like to help me with that, or if this is something that you think your lab would be interested or could use, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll be reaching out to some other folks just to see if we can start to develop that. And then I think as far as the rule out and refer workshop in Omaha, we will again have that done here at NPHL just because I can rely on, you know, some of the other techs here to help me support that. Yes. So if there's any questions there, that's it for lab news. And so we'll let all the laboratorians enjoy the rest of your day.